Hello, and this is my Halfguide of Awakening Wizzy at Gyfa. Now, this particular Halfguide assumes a decent level of familiarity with the mechanics here, and is only going to focus on the specifics of Awakening Wizzy. Awakening Wizzy at this spot. So, first, the super, before you even start grinding, basic, what pet do you summon? So, the thing about this spot is the buffs that you get. This one, well, and the butcher one. It does not work for summoned entities. This includes the pet abilities, the pet component of the pet abilities, I mean, and also Lava Field and your SQ skill. So while Marg will a lot of times do more damage than Margaret, for most things that you do, that's not necessarily the case here. So the larger AoE and the defensive buff, some people may very much like that for doing Margaret at this spot. So, a lot of times summoning Margaret is a nice idea. However, if you really want to get into the specifics of it, one potential issue with summoning Margaret instead of Marg at this spot is that a larger AoE is sometimes detrimental to your clear speed, because it's important that you focus your damage on the... Oh, nice! It's important that you focus... Wow, I'm having good luck already. Like, really good luck. So anyways, it's important that you focus your damage on the chonker. And with a large AoE, it can actually have the disadvantage of some of the hits. Even if you're directing it towards the chonker, not hitting it, because the per tick damage limit is still 10. And let's say if you have the Despair event and you have a ton of Mabu all around you, where the non-Margaret Aqua Gel would do a perfect job hitting just the things that you want it to. The Yes Margaret summoned Aqua Gel may hit, again, more things than what you want to hit. So that's just a little thing to be aware of. That's actually a lot of the reason that I, for the longest time, didn't use Margaret here. So the damage difference isn't going to be that significant either way, but yeah. So, now on to other nice little wizard-related things. You know how after you kill one and you're waiting for them to be attackable, they aren't immediately hittable? It's very important to understand, based on how aggro orb works, you saw it pulse there after I put it down, that if you place your aggro orb where the Mabu is before it's attackable, and it pulses before it's attackable, then it's not going to have the nice aggro effect. So generally what I do after a kill is I will put Lava Field, and then as soon as I see it wake up, I will put Aggro Orb. These can actually have aggro drawn to a spot before they have their DP buff gone. So here, I will show you now. Lava Field. And as soon as it activates, I put my aggro orb. Like that. And you see how it's really interested in my aggro orb and not at all interested in me. Now, after the rework of Gyfa, so I used to not really use aggro orb before the rework because they didn't have the DP buff. And it was a little bit less efficient for me to take the couple seconds to place orb and then start attacking. And it also gave a little bit less control over the situation, because you couldn't reposition all of the things that you want. However, now with how it works after the rework and the DP buff that they have for the first few seconds, I find aggro orb very nice. Sometimes they lose interest in it, like now, but or maybe it expired, I forget. But either way, it's quite nice. So now onto Wizzy skill sequences. Generally, the super high damage burst of Hellfire into Magma Bomb, and then if it's available, water barrages, is something that you will want to use more or less on cooldown. Magma Bomb is 1 second longer cooldown than Hellfire, but again, so most of my skill sequences here. I guess this killing was for explaining. Now I will actually demonstrate it a little bit more seamlessly instead of very seen fully. Gigantic burst damage, pillars, it's ready to be used again. And I know I didn't do my lightning spear because it's really cool and I want to save it for last. And now I know this isn't something that is unique to Gyfa. However, I know a lot of people are not that familiar with some of the things of Lightning Spear. So Lightning Spear is something that is extremely dependent on your positioning. Example. If I hit something that I am right in front of with Lightning Spear, it really does not do all that much damage. The majority of the hits are concentrated toward the middle and toward the area between just before the middle of Lightning Spear and 2/3 toward the end. So, look how much damage it did now. So when you use Lightning Spear against the Chonkers, you want to make sure that you're positioned properly. Another little known fact about it, the size of the hitbox of whatever entity you're fighting is also important for Lightning Spear. So the Chonkers have a nice, gigantic, large hitbox, rendering Lightning Spear even more effective against them than against a smaller Mabu. So yep. If you do have Lightning Spear available to you, it's something that I very, very, very strongly recommend using it. Now, again, if you really want to get specific, but I guess if it's specifically an Awakening Wizzy guide, then it's very nice to do. While these do not have the highest defense, they actually have high effective DR, while they do not have the highest evasion, Lightning Spear, if you see misses with it, you may want to wait to use it until you put your evasion debuff on them. And getting even more specific, the stronger the skill, the more you want to prioritize using it as soon as it's available. So when you incorporate it into your burst combo, try to use it sooner rather than later. Now, with no more stalling for a very important thing, as an Awakening Wizzy, it is important to know that your normal dodge is a spammable PvE iframe with a small amount of linger. The linger is actually equal to the lingering super armor time of the normal thing, as I demonstrated there. And the PvE iframe is very, 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 very useful for maintaining your Butcher buff. We will demonstrate that now. And by the way, try not to put your aggro orb when you're doing the butcher buff thing because I will explain it in a bit. I'm making sure not to kill it so I can demonstrate this. So, what you do is you get to a nice enough distance, you can do it closer the more you practice, water sphere, and then you cancel out of it, and then you use your dodge repeatedly, or if you're super familiar. It tries to apply the buff that you do not want twice. So if you're super familiar with the timing, you can just time it properly like that. I'm going to get the buff now because I stopped dodging. So yeah, the buff being the buff I don't want. So that is another nice trick on Wizzy. So yeah, but figure out what quick burst. For me, it's usually Hellfire into Magma Bomb, but sometimes that kills it. Now, so I usually use Water Sphere, Water Bomb, Magma Bomb, and then that puts it at the tiny little bit of health that I like to do the thing. So yep, that is quite nice. So a super high burst combo there, which was pretty much yeah, you saw it. Oh, I got the picture again here. I will demonstratify it again. As soon as it's available, you generally want to use your crazy high damage lightning spear instead. Now, my favorite way, another thing I want to show, of dealing with this is when you get the butcher event. The Flemen really likes to be stubborn and say, oh, you know, I really don't want to chase. If you're anywhere near it, it decides to attack you. So if you can, then use the Flemen to go to the Flemen very quickly after killing the butcher. You can get a nice amount of additional butcher buffs by doing that, or additional time on butcher buff by doing that. And the reason I don't put that aggro orb there is, let's say if it is the final thing I kill, or I end up messing up the buff and getting the one I don't want, you don't want the aggro orb there and continuing to pulse while it is likely to aggro the thing you don't want it to aggro. In fact, that even becomes a problem when you start killing really quickly. Normally, which is part of the reason that I make sure to see the aggro orb is still there. That's part of the reason I make sure to put the lava field down on the next one, because it hits very frequently, whereas aggro orb only pulses around once every 7 seconds. To make sure I do not aggro the wrong thing. But yeah, quite nice. But yeah, anyways, again, for the skill sequences, my general priority is as soon as they take a lot of damage, I use my initial burst if available, lightning spear, and then as soon as it's available again, I use the initial burst, being Hellfire, into Magma Bomb. A lot of times it's set up quite nice, such that I get a nice lightning spear pretty much every pack. And let's just pretend I needed to use Magma Bomb. Let's see how it is with a bit less gear. Always nice to be able to demonstrate things with a little bit less gears when possible, as it does a much better job of showing. A back dodge puts you at the perfect position, by the way, for a nice lightning spear positioning. Yep. Like that. I got the butcher again. Okay, perfect. I'm really equivalent higher than 257 AP because of Black Stars are, but I just think this is a nice demonstration. To lower gear. Normally wouldn't use Scrolly while making things like this, but it's going to mess up with a little bit of data collection, or mess up a little bit of data collection if I don't. So that's why I am doing it. Also, if you are a wizard of slightly less gear, as in less AP here, then I strongly recommendify that you use Frenzy Elixir. These do have pretty high effective DR, so especially at lower levels of AP, AP tends to be very important here. But yeah, and also, as you saw, I know this isn't a wizard-specific thing, but just a nice little note. Try not to kill the butcher at the very edge of the thing like I did, because when you do, the thing that happened to me will happen to you. Some of them do not follow. Actually, let's see what damage my normal butcher thingy first does. Yeah, a little bit more than half the damage I'd normally do with my full gear. Yep. Prioritize using your highest burst abilities as soon as they are available. And yep. Now, I also want to talk a little bit about Wizzy add-ons for this one. Yeah, here it is. So Wizzy add-ons for this spot. The highest priority add-ons, I have a specific one that I call Gyfa. That's different from my PvE offensive. I focus on keeping the high priority add-ons up close to 100% of the time. So I have critical hit rate on Hellfire. I specifically put it on Hellfire and Chilling Wave, as these tend to benefit a lot from it. They're high damage skills and they do not have 100%. In fact, Chilling Wave has 0% crit. So yes, it's quite nice. And then Magma Bomb. I have the extra AP against monsters and the DP minus, two also very high priority add-ons. And I'm using these on skills that I will cast very frequently. And on skills like Cataclysm, I refresh a high priority add-on AP against monsters, and I have a low priority add-on back attack damage plus 3%. It's a little bit less than 2% additional damage per instance of a back attack, whereas something like all AP plus 20 is more than 2%. Did I say a little more than 2? I meant a little less than 2. Maybe I said a little less than 2. Either way, yeah. Or I should be more. Yeah, I was going to say I should be more specific, and say it's exactly 2 if you do not use giants. However, I kind of forgot about this. So it is indeed, if you have that, a little bit less than 2% still. So, yeah. And I do have one defensive add-on, just because I really have this for when I grind in Arsha and I get into PvP interactions. However, If you don't have quite high of gear, then a defensive add-on that you use, a defensive add-on on a skill that you use regularly may be something that is very much advised. A little bit about the defensive properties of these. I mean the offensive properties of these, not the defensive. The mini ones. There we go, much better. The mini ones have pretty. Actually, I'll put on my normal gear. No, I won't. The mini ones have pretty standard AP and pretty standard accuracy for things around this level, whereas the chonkers have very high effective accuracy also. I mean, really, all things considered, this spot does have high stats of all kinds, as you might expect. Talking about how effective additional DR here is versus additional evasion, this is actually one of the best balanced spots, in my opinion, for DR versus evasion. The amount of DR I need to equip to get significantly more tanky against these is quite high. Here, actually, let me just demonstrate it right now. The damage this chonker does to me. Perfect, his special. Almost. $51 more DR, just in time for the special. I don't really want to take that risk, but yeah, anyways. Maybe I'll do it again. He'll definitely do it again. Basically just a little thing to show you that even a fairly significant amount of additional DR will help mitigate the damage that you take from them, but don't expect it to be like a lower end spot where 10 or 20 DR increases your tankiness massively. Now with evasion, again, the same-ish thing. Quite nice, but you know, you still should be careful just because. And with evasion, do not expect evasion to protect you against a lot of the scariness of the chonker. The chonker especially has extremely high effective accuracy. So yeah, in terms of defensive stats, whether you are an evasion build or a DR build, if you have the defense to grind even somewhat comfortably here, then whatever... I forgot where I was going with this. Oh yeah, defensive add-ons. If you are an evasion build, then a mix of evasion plus 4%, DP aka DR plus 15%, is quite nice for overall tankiness. If you are a straight DR build, then probably just refrain from getting additional evasion stuff. Your dodge rate is not going to be high enough for it to be that significant of a difference. Now, for the whole general DR versus evasion thing, oops, I'm a little bit distracted and I keep putting on the wrong things. Okay, no more dreaming. Here we go. When you have the despair event, evasion builds, I say, will definitely take on average a bit. Nice! Wow, I'm getting such good luck. A bit less damage than DR builds. However, it is still at the expense of consistency. I said this was going to be about Awakening Wizard, but obviously I can't resist talking about general stats just a little bit. So yeah, observing the dodge rate I will have against the mini Gyfas. They have a pretty exceptional dodge rate against them. And these will, especially if you have a whole bunch hitting you, the damage really adds up. So it will help you a lot to tank the super scary hits from the chonkers if you have a decent dodge rate against the little ones. So yeah, there can be significant arguments made for either DR or evasion. Like most things, it's a personal preference. But yeah. I forgot what I was going to say. But yeah, I know, not wizard related, but no, I'll keep it wizard related. Okay, is there anything else about add-ons? Nope, basically my add-on strategy is to, I should put my offensive shoes back on. Yeah, my wizard add-on strategy is to have near 100% uptime on the highest priority add-ons by putting them on the skills that I use first and frequently. Don't try to front guard that, by the way. Sometimes it glitches and hits 3 times, and it will kill you. That being the special attack of the blue chonker. So anyways, I go for near 100% uptime on the high priority add-ons, and on other skills I will either put low priority add-ons or refreshes of the high priority ones. So I hope that was nice and informative. And enjoy your Awakening Wizzy Halfguide of Gyfa.